There's a moment in every deep transformation when you realize your outside world hasn't caught up to your inside world. You've shifted, your center feels different, your choices feel different, your presence even feels different from the inside, and yet, your outer life still responds to the version of you that existed months, maybe even years ago. This is one of the first paradoxes you meet in spiral consciousness. Inner tone evolves first. Outer echo evolves second, and the two are never perfectly synchronized. That gap between them, between who you are and what the world still reflects, isn't proof that nothing has changed. It's proof that everything has, because the spiral doesn't operate on instant feedback. It operates on harmonic readiness. If the outer field reflected every micro shift you made inside, you would live in a constant state of instability, forever reacting, never integrating. So the spiral gives you space. It lets you deepen your new resonance before the echo appears. It allows your tone to solidify until it's unshakable. That space is what I call the sacred lag. It's where your inner truth ripens in silence. And in that silence, the mind gets restless. You start to wonder if you made it all up. If maybe the clarity you felt was a temporary high. If perhaps nothing is actually different. But here's the truth. Change is real the moment you embody it. The echo is simply the world taking the time it needs to rearrange around you. Think about planting a seed. The day you place it in the soil is the day its life begins. But nothing looks different from the outside. The earth appears the same. Days, weeks, even months may pass before a shoot breaks through. But underground, the change was immediate. The roots have been weaving themselves into the soil since day one. Your inner transformation works exactly the same way. The roots are already growing. The form will show up when it's ready, and not a moment before. The danger in this sacred lag is that you might try to force reflection too soon. You might look for confirmation from people who can't yet see the new you. You might bend yourself backwards trying to prove what's already true inside. But spiral consciousness teaches, truth doesn't need a witness to exist. It becomes its own spiral, and eventually reality bends to meet it. If you are feeling unseen, misunderstood, or like the world hasn't caught up with who you are, that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're in the sacred lag between tone and echo. It's tempting in that space to shrink back into your old tone, to meet people at the level they still expect from you. But that's not why you evolved. Do not shrink your tone back down. Do not spiral inward and collapse just because the mirror hasn't changed yet. Stay in your center. Stay with your resonance. Keep showing up in a way that matches your becoming, even when no one affirms it. The outer spiral will catch up, and when it does, you'll see that it wasn't delay. It was alignment. Alignment means that when the echo finally arrives, it doesn't just confirm your truth. It harmonizes with it so fully that it locks into place. It becomes part of your new reality in a way that feels inevitable. That's why it took its time. It wasn't just chasing you. It was tuning itself to you. So if you're in that gap right now, treat it as sacred. This is where your field becomes stable enough to carry your next expansion. This is where your truth matures from an insight into an identity. And this is where you prepare for the moment the outer spiral meets you at your frequency. Because part 2 of this spiral is coming. And in that next turn, you'll understand not just why the echo took its time, but why the time was necessary for the spiral to become unbreakable. You've probably felt it. That strange dissonance between the truth you know inside and the reality you see around you. It can feel like two worlds moving at different speeds. One is quiet but alive, spiraling deep within you. The other is loud, visible, and lagging behind. You might tell yourself, if I've truly changed, it should show up out there. But spiral consciousness doesn't work that way. Not at first, because spiral evolution is tone before echo. The inner frequency changes first. The outer form rearranges second, and there's always a gap and a sacred pause between the two. That pause is not a failure. It's the spiral's way of protecting your transformation while it's still delicate. If reality reflected every inner shift instantly, you'd never have the chance to stabilize it inside. You'd be tossed into a storm of constant reaction. Instead, the spiral lets you anchor your new tone before the echo appears. And in that space, and between your becoming and its reflection, you learn to trust the invisible. You learn to live by internal truth, even when there's no outer proof. This is the part most people can't handle. We are trained to need witnesses, to measure our worth by recognition, to validate our growth by results we can point to. But spiral consciousness is different. It teaches you to be your own witness. Your truth doesn't have to shout. It doesn't have to demand acknowledgement. It doesn't need to be proven in the moment. It simply is, and because it is, it will spiral outward, eventually. This is where strength is built. Not in the applause, but in the silence before the applause. Not in being understood, but in knowing that understanding will come. In the spiral's timing, not yours. Think of it like planting a seed deep in fertile soil. The moment you plant it, it begins to grow. But if you keep digging it up to check, you'll destroy the very life you're trying to nurture. Your internal truth is that seed. It is already growing, and the outer reflection will come when the roots are ready. So what do you do in the meantime? You hold your field, not loudly, not defensively, but steadily. You let your actions match your tone, not your doubt. You let your choices speak in harmony with your inner knowing, even when no one is listening. And when the old reflections try to pull you back, when people respond to the version of you that no longer exists, you don't collapse into proving or explaining. You simply keep spiraling from your center, because spiral consciousness teaches you, truth doesn't need a witness. It becomes its own spiral, and eventually reality bends to meet it. If you are feeling unseen, misunderstood, or like the world hasn't caught up with who you are, that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're in the sacred lag between tone and echo. Do not shrink your tone back down. Do not spiral inward and collapse. Stay in your center, stay with your resonance. The outer spiral will catch up, and when it does, you will see that it wasn't delay, it was alignment. Because part 2 of this spiral is coming, and in that next turn, you'll finally understand why the echo took its time. When the echo finally arrives, it doesn't knock politely. It shows up like a wave you forgot you sent. And suddenly, you're standing inside a reality that feels strangely familiar, because you've been living it inside for months, maybe years. This is the moment the outer spiral catches up to your inner tone. For some, it feels like a miracle. For others, it's simply a quiet recognition. Yes, this is what I knew was coming. But here's the subtle danger. When the world finally mirrors you, it's tempting to forget the silence that built you. To give all the credit to the echo. To think the outer reflection created the shift, when in truth it was the shift that summoned the reflection. You didn't just stumble into this alignment. You cultivated it in the sacred lag. And that means you must decide, will you treat this as proof that you can trust your tone more deeply than ever before? Or will you slip back into waiting for external confirmation next time? When spiral consciousness moves into alignment, it feels effortless. Doors open, conversations change. People who couldn't see you before now meet you with ease. It's tempting to believe the world itself transformed, but the deeper truth is that you tuned your field so fully that only matching realities could remain in orbit. And here's the next paradox. As soon as the echo lands, the spiral begins turning again. Your new alignment becomes your new baseline, and the inner tone starts shifting toward its next expansion. This is why spiral consciousness never ends. Each outer confirmation is just a checkpoint, not a final arrival. So what do you do when the reflection finally matches your tone? You honor it, but you don't worship it. You integrate it, but you don't cling to it. You let it be the bridge into the next turn. Because the moment you try to freeze the reflection in place, you step out of the spiral's flow. You make the echo more important than the sound that created it. And if you do that, the spiral will eventually have to shake you loose. Instead, treat the arrival of outer alignment as a conversation. It's your tone speaking back to you, reminding you of who you've become. It's a signal, not a statue. And in that conversation, you'll notice something else. Alignment doesn't erase challenge. It doesn't mean every interaction is perfect. What it does is remove the static between your inner truth and your outer reality. It makes it easier to act in integrity, because the world around you now speaks the same language. This is also the moment where others may try to join your spiral. Some will harmonize naturally. Others will want to skip the sacred lag you endured, to borrow your tone without doing their own anchoring work. Here, you must remember the patience that brought you here. Just as you couldn't force your own echo to arrive sooner, you cannot force theirs either. You can walk alongside them, You can model resonance, but you cannot spiral for them. As you continue forward, notice how the temptation to relax into your old patterns fades. You've proven to yourself that the inner spiral always leads the outer one. You've experienced the alignment firsthand. Now you know it's real. And once you know that, truly know it, you'll never again be at the mercy of outer evidence. Because the spiral's deeper gift isn't just alignment, it's sovereignty. It's the realization that you can live in harmony with a truth long before the world sings it back to you. And that when it does, it will be on your frequency, in your timing, and in a form more resonant than you could have scripted. So the next time you feel the sacred lag beginning, you'll meet it differently. You'll hold your tone without fear. You'll let the echo take its time. And you'll remember, the outer spiral is not the source. It is the celebration. And in spiral consciousness, celebrations are never the end. They are simply the beginning of the next turn.